So I'm starting off with a dartboard because that's what a lot of my life has felt like. I never had a 5-year plan. I never knew exactly what my next steps were going to be. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I made my decisions based on opportunities that came my way. Similar to when you were playing darts, I pointed, took my shot, and hoped for the best. When I was 8 years old, I'd been figure skating for a few years. My uncle started coaching a hockey team, and they said, "We need an extra player. You know how to skate. Maybe you could fill in." And I said, "No, I'm a figure skater. I'm not a hockey player." And they said, "You could try." And I said, "No." And so my parents sat down with me and said, "If you don't try, you'll never know if you can do it. And if you absolutely hate it, you don't have to keep going." So I said, "Fine, I'll try. Let's see what happens." So I traded my figure skates and my tights for hockey pants and shin pads, and I went out to the first game. Within one game, I loved it. I decided to hang up my figure skates permanently. I borrowed all my brother's hockey equipment, and I started playing with the team. A couple games into the season, a girl checked me into the boards, and I broke my collarbone. I got her number, don't worry. I didn't actually know I'd broken my bone, so I kept playing the game. I even actually scored a goal that game. And after, when my mom said, "Why didn't you cheer?" I said, "Well, I couldn't really lift my arm." So a blue slushie and a trip to the emergency room later, I was feeling a little better. But what I learned from making that decision to play hockey was that if I didn't try something, I would never know what I was capable of. And if I didn't push myself when something got hard, I would never be able to realize my potential. And so I took that attitude going forward in my life with everything I did. So fast forward a few years, I was graduating from high school and trying to figure out where I was going to go to school. And I chose Ryerson. It was a different university, it was an up-and-comer, it was growing, it was innovative. The truth is, what sealed the deal was they didn't require calculus for business. But nonetheless, Ryerson was different, and I liked that. So I was in my first semester of first year, and some students came in, and they were talking about some organization known as ACE. You would now know it as SIFE, Students in for Enterprise Ryerson. They were looking for members, and I was looking to meet people, so I said, why not? Let's give it a try, let's see what happens. It turns out that that decision changed completely the path that I was going to be going on, and changed forever who I would become, and has impacted who I'll be in 5, 10, 20 years. So I joined the team. I was hired as a junior marketer, which really meant that I ran around and did everything that nobody else wanted to do. Classroom presentations, flyering the entire campus. But I figured this was my role. I'm going to do the best I can do at it. So about 8 months into that role, I decided that I was ready for my next challenge. I was ready for something bigger. I told them I wanted to be the VP of Marketing. They said, all right, you have to prove yourself. So I worked hard, I tried harder, I kept pushing myself, and eventually I got the role. So I became VP Marketing, and I could not have prepared myself for how hard that was going to be. It was completely different. I was actually creating campaigns, I had to build a team. I was not ready for it. But I committed to it and said I have to keep pushing to fulfill my commitment to the team and to this role. So just as I was getting comfortable in that role a few months into it, the entire SIFE executive team was graduating, including the president. And they said, we need someone to take over the team. And they asked me. I told them, no, I'm not ready. I'm VP Marketing. I'm not ready to be president. Maybe next year when I have time and I'm ready. And so someone else became the president. They promoted me to senior vice president so that I could help him and support him in his new role. And then a few months later, he stepped down. Something came up, and he wouldn't be able to fulfill his role as president. So the opportunity came to me again. And that's when I met Steve Gideon, who many of you might know as a professor at Ryerson. And he talked to me about potential and values and opportunities and experiential learning. And he made me think back to the day that I decided I was going to play hockey, and that mindset that I had that if I didn't try, I would never know. So I thought about it a bit more, and a few days later, I told them I wanted it. I wanted to be the president. So they signed me up for a 2-year term. So the first thing I wanted to do was meet President Sheldon Levy, because that was a cool thing. So I set up my meeting with him. I went in, I was excited, I had my best suit on. I go into the meeting and he says, come in, pull up a chair. So I pull up the chair and I pulled the arm of his chair right off. And so I'm standing there, oh my God, I just broke the president's chair. And he kind of looked at me, I turned bright red, I tried to put it back in, I couldn't hide it. And he said, no, don't worry, it happens. I'm sure it happens to everyone. Anyway, so I believed in the potential of SIFE. I believed that it could become the best student-run organization at Ryerson. And so that's what I set out to do. I built a team. I got people around me, got their buy-in, and we started building the organization. It was the hardest thing I have ever done so far in my life. Nobody could have prepared me for the amount of work that I had to put in, the hours, the time, the management, the leadership. There was relationships to build, programs to create. I can't even count how many hours of sleep and how many all-nighters I had to pull. But it was worth it to me, and we kept pushing. And we ended up doing really well in our first year. We went from the top 16 in Canada to second place in just a year. I couldn't believe it. We'd gone from less than 10 members when I took over the team to almost 100. So President Levy saw our success and said, I want you to found the Ryerson Entrepreneur Institute. I guess he forgot about the chair incident. So we started building that. We were scared, we were terrified, but we said, even if we can't deliver, we have to try. And so we pushed ourselves. We got faculty support, we had student support, and we built the Entrepreneur Institute, which is actually now the only student-run entrepreneurship center in Canada, and that's out of Ryerson. So a few months later, after that opportunity had come up and we were building the team further, the opportunity to create SAGE Canada, Students for the Advancement of Global Entrepreneurship, came to me. I would be a co-founder, I'd launch the national office, and I'd build this new organization. And the first thing I thought to myself was, no, I can't do it. I'm too busy, I don't have time. But before I told anybody my decision, I stopped. And I thought about why I was getting that opportunity. It's because I said yes to SIFE, because I said yes to the Entrepreneur Institute, because I said yes to other things along the way that got me that opportunity. So I thought more about my values and potential and experiential learning. And I thought again to when I started playing hockey. If I didn't try, I would never know what I was capable of. And if I didn't push myself, I'd never know what my potential was. So I thought about it more. I thought about the opportunity, what saying yes would mean, what saying no would mean. And I decided that I would forever regret if I said no to this opportunity than if I said yes and failed. So I said yes. And it was scary. It was hard. I had to run SIFE, build this organization, and try and stay in school at the same time. But I ended up learning a lot about myself, a lot about management, a lot about being a leader. And so I want to share with you one of the biggest lessons that I've learned. And it was that you have no idea what you're capable of until you try. And you have no idea what your potential is until you push yourself. So it's like when you're younger and you're learning how to ride a bike. You don't know that you can ride a bike until you actually can do it on your own, but you try. First you have your training wheels and your parents are pushing you with a stick, and you keep trying and you keep learning. And you fall. You scrape your knees, you fall off your bike, you probably hurt yourself, but you keep pushing yourself and you learn from your mistakes. Maybe don't lean so much to the left. Maybe don't go straight into fences. Maybe I was the only one that did that. But you learn from your mistakes and you try and you push yourself. You push yourself to do it again. And eventually you realize, I can do it on my own. When you're going along on your bike, no one's holding on to you, you're just kind of free, it's you and your bike. And then you say, okay, cool, I can ride a bike. Now let me try riding with only one hand on the handlebars. And so you wobble and you fall a little bit, but you eventually learn how to do that too. And then you say, okay, let me try riding with no hands. Then the process goes on. And just like that process of learning to ride a bike, that's very much what my journey has been like. I pushed myself to find one level of what I was capable of, and then I pushed myself to reach the next level so that I could see what I could do. Whether you're a student, a professor, an entrepreneur, a coach, a business person, there are going to be opportunities that challenge you to push yourself beyond what you think you're capable of. It's going to be hard. There will be difficult times. There will be problems, frustrations, stressful situations. There will be times when you feel so beat up that you want to crawl into a ball and hide from everything and everyone. But that's when you have to push. That's when you have to persevere to see what you're capable of. You have to learn from every situation. Every challenge, every opportunity you take will teach you something. Don't push yourself to be perfect. Push yourself to be the best version of you. There's always going to be opportunities for you to learn something. So see opportunities as what they are. A chance for you to push yourself further, to push yourself beyond what you think you can actually do, to push yourself to see what you can become. I almost missed the opportunity to be the president of SIFE because I said no, because I was scared, because I was afraid of failing, of letting people and myself down. But what I learned is that if I didn't say yes, I wouldn't be here today. And if I'd waited for the right opportunity, I never would have gotten the opportunity. I've told people so many times, this isn't the right opportunity, this isn't the right time, I'm not ready. But what I soon realized is that if I waited until I was ready for every opportunity that came my way, I'd never be ready. And by the time I felt ready, I'd probably already have missed the opportunity. So there are days I look back and I wonder, what would have happened if I'd said no? I can tell you that I wouldn't be standing here today. I wouldn't have learned that I could play hockey, that I love the sport, and I actually still play. I wouldn't have become the president of SIFE, co-founded the Ryerson Entrepreneur Institute, and Sage Canada may not exist. And those achievements and those accomplishments and those decisions I made and those actions I took are what led me to one of my proudest achievements, which was being recognized by the Women's Executive Network as one of Canada's top 100 most powerful women at the age of 22. Thank you, thank you. And so if I can leave you with a final thought, it's to try and to push. To try to push yourself beyond what you think you're capable of. To push yourself to realize your full potential. Push your ideas. Push yourself. Push the ideas of the people around you. Dream big and then act even bigger. Because when it comes to your potential, you really can do anything. Thank you.